I got a couple extra bars this time. Look.
Let's hear it.
Look. Doughboy is a mood.
What?
CT a cool ass dude.
Facts.
You hating on me, that's rude. And now I got an attitude. I got a blue and orange ball cap. You don't like us, you can fall back. Matter of fact, we don't like you, cause you be thinking that you all that. Niggas always into something. What the hell is up with Joe Budden? Why you talking all reckless? Who done stole a joke from Precious?
You're fired.
We about to find out. We got the game on Smash. Welcome to the first bonus episode of the Justice League podcast.
Hey. You always gotta end it. And it was like trying to get soulful in the chorus.
How you
What's up,
feeling
player?
today, man?
I'm good, man. You know what I'm saying? Justice League podcast.
We are here.
Off top.
Can we get us on here? Can we get us on the screen? I just like looking at myself. I'm self-consumed.
Hey man, you said it before I could, brother.
How you feeling? Everything is good?
Incredible, man. I like you colorful tonight.
I wasn't gonna fish for this compliment, but is
I'm glad you didn't.
the sweater and the hat too much? I felt like it was too loud.
No, it's very podcasty. Like it's very
Is
what
it?
we're doing right now.
So it's for this.
Yes.
But I'll be on the streets with this shit. Nah, not the club.
This is a TV.
I hate it
You're
too
about to
because
be seen by people.
and you see the shoes too. So you see the shoes, like the shoes are doing too much
okay.
too. Yeah,
Well, the
it's-
shoes actually match the hoodie perfectly.
I think they match them too much though.
Well, I mean, you can never match too much.
Okay, I know now that people want to see. Hold on.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done
Yeah, I
that.
gotta do this now.
Okay,
Hold
do
on,
it for
guys.
him now.
Is this too much, guys? Shout out to my boy Blue. He created this shoe.
Nice.
I should have washed it before I put it on this goddamn table.
I was gonna start you out.
So this is
That was also a great joint at the top of the show, man.
Yeah, I just I jotted a few notes down because I was here early before
Smart.
you. Quick question.
Wait a minute. First
You
of
caught the
all,
shade?
we are shooting. We're already 5 minutes ahead of time.
We are,
So I'm not late by any means.
But I
I'm
was-
never late.
but I'm always here before.
But you're always early.
I am.
I like to
That's
make entrance. That's not my fault.
just- You was like just come in all regally with the trumpets blaring.
Well, I'm never late. So it's like when I show up literally right on time.
Man, whatever. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of what this shit is. What was you doing when I called you earlier, nigga? Because I felt like you was rushing me off the phone. I was sitting there like, hey, man, I got a great idea. You were like, man, what? I'm like, hey, man,
I
it's
didn't
cool.
say
Look.
what.
was
This
like,
is how it went. You called my phone. Let me first of all
What
take
was you
back.
doing? Take me to 2 seconds before I called.
I'm gonna take you there. So on Wednesdays, right?
Mhm.
Once a month, I do a Mortal Kombat tournament on my Twitch, right?
Nice.
Where, a lot of the members of Team CT can just come battle for some bread, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have a good time. So I had just got done doing that, right?
Mhm.
I was starving. I go make myself
Yeah.
something to eat. I get my drink and everything together. I get down in my recliner.
I know that recliner. You don't let nobody sit there. I want to
That's
sit
a
in it
fact.
one day.
It's a wrap. When I get a new one. So I sit down in my recliner. I literally grab the fork.
You
And when
about to-
I grab the fork and I raise it, I see you calling. I was like,
So you didn't even take that first bite?
what's up? Because immediately I'm like, this could be important. This is Doughboy. You never know.
And
What's up, bro? And you like, hey, what's up, man? You got 2 seconds? I was like, yeah. What's up?
as I knew it, I was pitching this shit. I was like, he ain't fucking with this shit. I thought this shit was
Whatever you would have
comedic
wanted, I'd have said
gold.
yes.
He was like, yeah, it's cool. I was like, this nigga
Man.
over here fucking or something? What the
Hey
hell?
man, is it cool if we do coke on the show tonight? Yes. Whatever.
Heroin,
Yes.
I'll bring the Gucci belt. I got
Man,
you.
I'll bring the spoon I got in this food. Yes. So
But
that's what happened.
your week was good though? This is
You know what, man? The week was amazing. I'm looking at I always tell you I look at the comments
Mhm.
on my page and on your page as far as the podcast goes.
Mhm.
And the Jamie Foxx thing.
Oh, you didn't kicked up some dust.
Hey man, a lot of people agreeing with your boy because I didn't say
seen
anything
that. You didn't say
disrespectful.
it was very, very
It's
respectful.
honest. And here's the funny thing. I know exactly how to get it to him if I don't see a response soon.
You're that guy.
Like, if I don't see a response soon, I'm going straight to Speedy, Johnny Mac, Chris Spencer. Like,
He's
he's
gonna,
gonna
hear it.
hear it.
What do you think his response will be?
His response better be, I'm about to go on stage.
Get back to this funny,
Yeah.
my funny shit like you
talking
told him
your
to?
funny shit. I want, bro, people like Jamie Foxx don't understand the impact that he's had on a generation. Like, we
Mhm.
always give Martin Lawrence his props. We always give Eddie Murphy his props. Monique, I always give her flowers.
Mhm.
But when Kings of Comedy, the list goes on. But when it comes to Jamie, a lot of people don't give him his credit when it comes to comedy. It's more so on his music. And I'm like, listen, bro,
You one of
I've
them
been a
du-
fan too long. I paid my dues. I love Held Up.
Whoa.
Do you understand me?
Listen,
I watched Bait.
I am. Listen. I am a Jamie Foxx stan. But
Uh-huh.
even Held Up, I was like, all right. Man.
Listen, I watched Bait more than
Bait
10
was lit,
times.
though.
I have seen every movie that
Right.
he's done, and I deserve him to do a stand-up
Even Booty
special.
Call?
Yes.
People, a lot of people call Booty Call a classic. That's like a classic in a lot of it's like a cult classic.
Fire.
I have a unfair confession.
Okay, let's hear it.
Never seen Booty Call.
How do you call yourself a Jamie Foxx fan and you've never seen Booty Call, bro?
And how about this? Next time you do one of your CT movie things, do Booty Call. I'll hop in the chat and watch it. For
You're
the
a
first time.
liar.
I will. What? I will.
Doughboy,
I
you're the same
absolutely
guy.
will.
You're the same guy that you'll be like, hey man, when you gonna be on Twitch? I'm like, today. All right, cool, I'm gonna be in there. You ask and then don't show up. It's like, why even ask me?
No, I'm definitely gonna because I want to watch the movie because everybody says that it's a classic. And speaking of
You have to lick it before you stick it.
but speaking of classics, new nickname alert.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I am ready for the new nickname.
Yosemite Sam.
Why do they call you Yosemite Sam?
Because I'm an animated nigga in the studio dropping Looney Tunes.
Ooh.
Come on, the double up. I think I'll be having to double them up to win with you.
Let me tell you something, bro. Bars. Timex is dropping.
Yes.
You understand me?
I think I got to drop the Timex album. You brought me
have
back,
to.
and I think the streets is ready.
The streets are ready for Timex.
It's time for Timex. See what
I
did
like.
there?
You on the road, brother.
I'm out here, man. But
Somebody
listen,
stop 'em.
this is people don't know. So they're gonna get this middle of the week.
Yeah.
And so we already gave y'all an episode Wednesday, but there's so much shit happening. And we normally pride ourselves on being a podcast of just brothers. We just talk, and we don't necessarily have to do the hot topics or the trending topics. And I love that because a lot of times them shits be dry and then you're forcing yourself to talk about stuff. But this week, there were so many things that happened that I just felt, and I actually called you and shout out to CT because he's a busy guy. But I said, hey, man, look, there's a lot of stuff going on, man, and I feel like the streets would love to hear what you and I feel about it. So I think we should do a bonus episode this week. So we pulled the trigger on it, and we are here.
This is the bonus
to talk about some things. So the first thing that the whole streets.
Wait, let me break for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we read the comments. We know that y'all say y'all enjoy the show. You want extras.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say shout out to the Team CT Patreon movement because you guys got last week's episode a week early. And y'all gonna get this the moment we get done recording.
Ooh.
So, shout out to y'all.
Bang, bang.
Keep going.
And donation is gonna start Patreon one of these days, and I'll let y'all know when we do it. But so this is
next year. I'm gonna get to.
I just want to have something to have.
You
for
like
them.
You like a single father promising the kids to go to Disneyland.
We don't ever
we're gonna go.
They can just take you to the park though. Let's get on the swing. That's just as fun. Oh, it ain't.
What a Disney is. It's rats down there somewhere. Just go.
You get your hot dog later. All right, so the streets have been bubbling for this for a long time. So the Joe Budden podcast. So let's just unwrap this because it's a bunch of different layers that kind of come with this. So it's a podcast, wildly popular podcast. I think they've been around since about 2016. They were really one of the pioneers. They were doing podcasts when it was first, when it was just like audio and different stuff. Yeah. So they've been around for a while. So you got Joe Budden, you got Rory, you got Maul. Even in the music, in the intro music, new Rory and Maul. So it's Joe Budden and Rory and Maul. Okay. So people started to sense that there was some trouble in paradise a couple months ago when they got the Spotify deal. This is when actually when they left the Spotify deal and went to Patreon. Okay. So that's when the rumblings started being like, people might not be happy, might still be some stuff. Then maybe like about a month and a half ago, all of a sudden, Rory and Maul just weren't there anymore. Okay. And so Joe had kind of like told everybody like, hey, he was saying that he wanted to fight me, da-da-da-da, and like, I don't like when people talk to me, like my friends, da-da-da-da. And he was saying that like, Rory had said it in an interview like, oh, we could fight. He was like, I don't fight my friends. And Rory was like, well, nigga, who said we was friends? Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, he didn't say nigga because, he's white. But he was like,
that adds another layer.
Exactly. So that was what it was. So
well, nigga, we can fight.
What, Rory?
Okay.
So that was the whole thing. And so then Rory and Maul had took a few weeks off. Yeah. Then he had like a couple like stand-in co-hosts, for some time. And then everybody was wondering, what's up? And then he brought him back.
Is that the same thing as wondering?
I said wondering. I said what I said, wondering? You piece of shit. Let me get to the meat potatoes of the story. Meat and potatoes. Anyway, so he basically said, they were waiting, and so they were waiting for them. So then they come back. Yeah. And then they kind of like squash it on air, and they're like talk about their grievances. Everybody thought everything was cool. Then all of a sudden, last week happens. Joe just kind of goes. Joe fires Rory on air.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a weird situation because the episode went up. It was only up publicly for 2 hours. Then they took it down and put it behind the Patreon wall. And he was just basically going off, talking about Maul. Like talking about Rory like he just offered nothing to the podcast. Just talking shit like, you're fired. You're not welcome. Blah, 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 blah. And he was talking about Maul, but Maul didn't get it as bad.
Yeah.
So then Rory and Maul came back and finally, after all of this, because this has been speculating in a lot of people's mind. So then they finally come out on Saturday and then they drop a response video and they're just basically like just coming clean on their whole side of the story. So now everything is bad with the podcast. And then to add injury to insult, then this Monday, then Olivia Dope, who was on one of his other podcasts.
That's a great name.
Oh, exactly. I was like, I never knew who she was before this, but that name is fire.
Olivia Dope.
So she ended up coming out with some sexual harassment claims against Joe Budden. So there's a lot to unpack here. And that was on video. So it was on an episode of Here's the Thing, their podcast, episode 16, and it was okay. So there's a lot to unpack here. So first of all, did you get to watch the Rory and Maul response? Did you get to take a look at the video?
No, I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because you are the worst at sending. Let me tell you something about reciprocity.
Okay.
When we talk, I'm educated. When we talk about sharing content with each other, every time I tell you about something, I immediately send you the link, or I say, hey, man, go to this timestamp, blah, 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 blah. When you tell me about something and I say, cool, send it to me, you be like, if you just go to the such and such.
And that was bad because we was right last night. I thought that you would just hop on the YouTube, but it's cool. I can keep you abreast with my recaps. Basically, what they said was, look, this is the reason why the podcast ended. We were asking questions, and basically Maul was basically saying, listen, we came into this as partners. Yeah. So we would ask for the accounting to see how much money is coming in because we're not employees. And so they were basically saying he started treating them like employees. He wasn't really being forthcoming with the information. He was sending them like bullshit, like Excel spreadsheets to show the accounting. Just really kind of, and even he was alluding to that, like, Rory's coming around here asking questions about the money and this, and this. And if I bring a deal to the table, I eat differently versus if you, just a bunch of just shit. So basically what they were saying, what Joe was saying was they was asking me too many questions. This is my podcast. These niggas work for me. They basically responded like, we never worked for you. We were your business partners. All we were asking for was the accounting. There was apparently a $400,000 discrepancy. $400,000 just magically disappeared. Nobody knew how to talk about, how to locate that money. Okay. And so the more that they asked for transparency within the books, then Joe was just more getting agitated with the situation, and it just bubbled up to him firing them and then them coming back and just like the whole Twitter is basically on everyone else's side but Joe. Like no one, like even Kevin Hart spoke out against Joe Budden. Like the way you did your guys, it was just trash to talk about them. Like they built this with you and you're just doing this. And then it just didn't help when the sexual harassment thing came out the next day. So what are your thoughts? 'Cause I know you pretty much have been hearing things, even if you didn't watch the response. What is your thought overall on this whole situation?
Number one thought, and this is above everything else, none of my business. That's number one.
You got a PhD in minding your own business?
Let me tell you something, brother. Graduated with honors. I will speak on certain aspects of what you said.
Right.
Now, when you're saying he fired them and they said, we're not your employees, we were partners, then if they were truly partners, they would have been able to show up to the next episode. You are not my employee, neither am I yours. This is a partnership. Right. So if you be like, hey man, you fired, I'm like, who you fired? You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. Right. Because this is ours, right? It's just fired. Us. You feel me? So in that regard, and it's the Joe Budden podcast. There's a reason this podcast isn't called the CT experience or the Doughboy
function.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is ours.
Right.
So in that regard, by it being the Joe Budden podcast, I think that no matter how tight they thought they were, a contract, when any deal comes into place, is the most paramount situation. Right. When a contract is involved, nobody can be shocked by anything. Now, to speak on the deal aspect, whatever they worked out as far as, hey, if you bring this, you get this. If you bring that, you bring that. And it sounds as if, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds as if all of these deals, Joe is the one who has proven to bring these deals in and make money from it. So when these guys are like, hey man, let's look at the money, and it's like, what?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's how I'm hearing that. Overall, the friendship, how, for him to do that on air, great content, got the world talking. Unfortunately, I think you have to ask yourself, is the money more important than the relationship? And for me, money has never been more important than relationships to me, because the same people you meet on the way up are the people you meet on the way down. And just because you hot right now,
come on,
don't mean you're gonna be hot tomorrow. And
funny
when
thing
you
about them
cold
tables,
tomorrow,
they turn. All them
they'll never stay still. So I try my best to be a great guy to everybody that I deal with. And so, when things, or if things aren't going my way, that I have people in my corner.
Right. Yeah. No, this was very difficult for me. And I'm really, I subscribe to the same school that you go to. I be minding my business, but sometimes things get so loud. It's just like, people want to see, what our opinion is on it. So this one is actually really triggering for me, because I've been in these situations. You see what I'm saying? Like, I've had a wildly successful podcast that ended, you know what I'm saying? Righteous and Ratchet. Everybody knows this. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had a podcast. The one thing that when it ended, it just ended, right? Podcast end. It happens. One thing that I could be happy about, that, we're just not out here throwing dirt on each other's names. This is the one thing I didn't like about this, because I'm a fan of the show. So if I like the show, I'm a fan of you guys' friendship. I'm a fan of seeing you guys grow. And I get it. If things happen and they go away, that's cool. Like, and it sucks. It's like your favorite show going off the air. But seeing people that are perceived as friends then just start going at each other and almost insulting each other, like he was like, in the way that Joe Budden was talking about them, like almost like they were beneath him. That was the tough part. He was just like, oh, and Maul's trying to, Rory's trying to, use whatever leverage he has. And then even in their response, but he's like, what are you talking about leverage? Like, you're my boy. Like, why would I, you know what I'm saying? And so the way that he was, and the way that he was talking about Maul, like somebody he's been friends with for years, just like talking about him, and like he was a flunky, like he was just a broke nigga. I just feel like that part of it, I just can never agree with. It's just like, bro, if it's got, and I see a lot of that because, there's a lot of podcasts that end or whatever. I just don't agree with doing it like that. Like, and I'm not here to shit on nobody for how they do it. I just try to at least be like, okay, I'm glad I didn't, because that's sad as a fan of the show. And I feel like you damn near divide your fans. It's just like, what is the audience that has been watching this for the past 6 or 7 years? Like, how are they supposed to pick sides with that?
Well, here's the thing, man. Again, none of my business.
Right.
I think how he handled it is how he chose to handle it. I'm not invested in any of it to really care. But I will say that it's unfortunate that it seems that a friendship that they've had for several years has been demolished in public. And for what you said, yeah, podcasts end and people go their separate ways. And I think it's about how people handle things. And it shows a lot of the maturity depending on how somebody moves after a separation.
So let me just ask you that. So because you have much more experience in this game. So in the game that we work in, and of course you work with people and then you don't work with people. What is the best way, if maybe it isn't the best situation when it ends, what's the best way that you would say to just move forward? Is it just kind of just everybody just don't speak on it and just, or is there like a code of ethics that maybe people should follow?
I think it's a case by case basis. In my past experiences with people that I've no longer worked with, I've never said anything out of pocket about people that I've worked with, because a lot of people that I've worked with have been friends. And if we just didn't work together anymore, we just didn't work together anymore. Right. I'm still gonna come over your house, you're still gonna come over mine, whatever. And I've never felt the need to bash somebody publicly, because it's not, as much as people support something, everything isn't to be shared out in the open, you know what I mean? And if something does need to be shared in public, then that would be shared in such a way that it's still respectful. But I don't need to throw anybody under the bus to make anybody look bad, just to make myself seem better.
Yeah, because I remember, because this even made me think about years ago when me and you had a tiff.
Oh yeah,
we had a tiff. We probably didn't talk for a couple of months, but even in that,
nobody knew.
You know what I'm saying? And then, because I think that's the thing that people have to remember, that
Tangerine knew. And I'm sure whatever girl, you know, you're dating there. But the
The
world.
streets didn't know. We go like, man, forget this nigga CT. But that's the thing, and that's the
He
only thing
said
that
somebody told him about all this.
this thing, I couldn't imagine seeing you when you was watching that
Oh,
interview.
I had to turn it off. I
was
was
just like,
pissed.
mother. But no, I just think that that's the way to handle it. Just be respectful, just be cordial, just because it just sucks for the fans. So, you know, hopefully they get it all together. Hopefully they, I don't know. I don't know what the future, let me ask you about that too. What do you think? Do you think it could still survive moving forward? And what I mean by this is just the chemistry. So now let's just say he's kicked these guys off the show.
Because clearly this is his show.
They're gone. So it's now just Joe Budden. And now he just got two other dudes.
Easy.
Do you think that people are still going to tune in and listen?
It's like you just said. Well, first of all, yes. Short answer.
Really?
Yes, man. Because it's no different than a TV show recasting actors. At first, you'd be like, man, I don't like, man. See, look at Tommy, man. See, Jason was my guy. And then you're like, oh, man, this Green Ranger kind of dope. And then you forget about Jason. And then you forget about the next Ranger. Before you know it, it's a brand new Power Ranger team.
I don't think that people are interchangeable like that on podcasts, though.
Listen, brother, I'm telling you, I'm answering your question. On that podcast, Joe's going to be fine.
You think so?
I know it.
Couldn't
because
disagree
just
more.
like you just said, people they feel like they have to choose. The people who chose Joe will remain watching. This isn't Joe's first podcast.
Yeah.
Joe's had like several podcasts.
That's kind of not a good thing.
You realize you're the pot calling the kettle. Here's my point.
You forget about your failed podcast?
you bailed on your daughter. What was it? Girl Dad or something podcast?
We were just talking about bringing that back. I was like, yo, you want to bring it back? She's like,
I'll let you know. I'm busy.
So no, I just think however they get, I personally don't agree.
Wait, Keyhart doing episodes by herself. Hey, Dad, you gonna come in? I'm busy. Do your thing, baby girl.
You got it. Just put on my hat. You can play the other beat. No, I think that with this situation, I don't think it's gonna work like that.
Okay.
I really don't. I think that people think like that. I think that people think, oh, I'll just get any two people to be here because I'm me. I don't know. You can't fake chemistry.
I think it's the same for, you said Rory and Maul. I think they both can also do their own thing, and the people who chose them will go to them.
So you just feel like everybody going to be happy, going to be a clean split?
I didn't say everybody's going to be happy. I said that the show can, must, and will go on.
I think that it will too, but I don't know if I can still be as because I actually like listen to the show. And I'm just like, it's just a lot to now I gotta just learn two new niggas.
Bro, listen. When I tell you the Power Ranger example is the best example in the world, we had the original leader of the Power Rangers, Jason. He was the Red Ranger. We loved him. Everybody wanted to be him. And one day, here come this green motherfucker with this shield on.
And niggas forgot all about
They
the nigga?
forgot about it. Was like 2 years before people was like, hey, what happened to Jason? Because Tommy was so popular. So I'm telling you, bro, the show goes on, man.
Let me ask you this. How many episodes do you think it took for the audience to forget about the original Aunt Viv?
The original? Oh, here's the funny thing. So glad you said that.
They swapped her out in the commercial break.
We never forgot.
Right.
But the reason we were cool with it is because Will was so popular.
So it was just like
every character was so fire, and they addressed it immediately. I'm talking about Jazz was like, hey.
In a subtle way.
She looked different. And then Will looked at the camera.
Broke that fourth wall.
And this is before TMZ. This is before the internet. We just kept watching.
Right.
That show could have done another 5 years. Nobody would have stopped because every character was so popular. We had the Carlton dance. We had Uncle Phil. We had Jeffrey. We had Hillary. Ashley.
Whatever happened to Hillary after that show?
Oh, Hillary went on to do a couple movies, and Hillary got wifed up.
Did she?
Hillary got wifed up.
Damn. I thought I was going to see her in much more shit moving forward.
Hey, man, let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something, bro. In this city, a lot of times people that are not men get married, have some kids, and realize they might not have been in love with the business as much as they wanted to, or they enjoy the next part of their lives.
Yeah.
That is the best way that I could possibly say that.
That made perfect freaking sense.
Jesus Christ.
Let's talk about this. Now, I'm going to ask you this because you see it on the docket,
Yeah.
but I'm going to just ask you because we didn't get a ton of chance to talk, before we started the show.
Ton of chance.
Should we keep names out of this next story? You want to keep names out of it?
Hey, man, listen, brother.
Hey, man, it's your call.
Hey, man, listen. You are your own independent contractor.
Hey, man, I'm jumping in the water so I can get wet. So
you do your thing, brother.
So, comedian beef is happening once again. Okay. Now, before we even start this, I just want to say I'm not taking the Justice League podcast. We're not taking sides. We're just reporting what we saw and giving our opinion on what we seen. Now, Precious Hall, very, very funny comedian. We both know her. She has accused Leslie Jones from Saturday Night Acclaim and Ghostbusters and a bunch of other stuff. Her resume precedes her.
Legendary. Been doing it 30 years.
This is the real, because me and you had a great conversation about this at 3:00 in the morning, and we'll try to recreate that conversation as much as we can in front of people. So basically what ended up happening was Leslie Jones went on television on Sunday on the MTV Movie Awards.
That's huge.
And she told some jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She told a joke that sounded exactly like a joke that Precious has.
Okay.
Exactly like word for word. And so the next morning, Precious put up a video side by side, said, hey, with a long caption, hey, this isn't cool, took my joke, da-da-da-da-da. And she had a side by side of her doing the joke and then the other individual, Leslie, doing the joke. And she was like, and so everybody started commenting because this is something as comedians, it might be unbeknownst to the general public, people steal jokes all the time. It happens. So, and I don't know. I'm not saying that Leslie stole her joke.
Once you get labeled as a joke thief.
Once you get labeled as a joke thief, it's a stench you can't get off with soap.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was it was a whole little, public kind of, back and forth thing. And from what I can ascertain, from what I can see publicly, it was basically after she put it up and blasted her on live in front of everybody. Apparently they got in touch with each other, and Leslie's thing was, hey, I didn't hear your joke before, da-da-da. I had some writers, that gave me a joke, da-da-da-da. So I don't know what this is about. So, so she says that to her, and then apparently she said that on live.
Oh, okay.
So I just messed that up. So apparently when they got in touch, via DMs or whatever, she was like, hey, I've never heard your joke. I never took your stuff. You should have came to me in a different way. Okay. Then she was on live later, said, hey, I got some writers that gave me the joke. I don't know what this person's talking about.
She said that
She said that live. Yeah,
okay.
She said that live, and then, So what is your whole, first of all, let's just talk about just, as a comedian, have you ever had a joke stolen?
Yes. I've been doing comedy a very long time. I've had several jokes stolen on a couple different comedian specials.
So you're talking about bigger comedians than you taking your joke and saying it on television, right? How did that make you feel?
The
first time it happened.
The first time it happened, I was like, what just happened, right?
Right.
Because it was like,
wait, what?
Wait a minute. You know what I mean? Because for those of you guys who don't know, the comedians that don't know each other, we can get in touch with any comedian. Right. Like, literally any comedian, there's a 6th degree of separation. I can get to you.
Facts.
I can find out your number. I can be put on a phone with you. I can be, brought to you in person and vice versa.
Within a matter of minutes.
It's so easy to get in touch with a comedian. It's crazy. If you are a comedian, if you a fan of a comedian, good luck. You know what I'm saying? But it's that easy. Everybody knows somebody. If I wanted to talk to, Chappelle, it's like, if I don't bump into him at the club,
you know somebody who knows him.
Exactly. So with that said, the first time it happened, I was just like, wow, this actually gave me some inspiration, because I'm like, okay, my joke was funny enough that I know millions of people will love it. So I just got to keep writing, was my thought at the first time.
So the first time somebody took a joke of yours, put it on TV, it wasn't, man, fuck this individual for taking something that belonged to me. It was, hey, I'm glad I made something good enough to be stolen.
I mean, it still hurt, but I was like, oh wow, at least I know I'm on the right track of thinking.
So
because you don't have a GPS to tell you what to do in show business.
Okay.
You're just doing the best you can, hopefully somebody sees it, and then you're able to go from there. So the first time it was like bittersweet. It was like, damn, man, he took one of my favorite jokes that I'm doing. It was one of the only things that I had at the time. And then at the same time, it was like, at least I know I'm on the right path if they're stealing from me.
Now, did you confront the individual when it happened? Did you say anything to them?
The joke was already told. That's the one. My thought was, and I was like 22.
Okay.
My thought was the joke is already told. The second thing was nobody's going to believe me, right?
And you knew this young, so you knew this years ago. So this it just was already kind of in your mind.
And what I mean by nobody's gonna believe me is the masses, the people who I saw in the comedy clubs knew my joke, but it wasn't like I could go like, hey, TMZ, he just took this joke and did it on the special. It's like, they're like, who are you?
The nigga.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I knew that the masses would be like, who are you? Get out of here. And at the time, the Carlos Mencia thing had since happened where, you know, Joe Rogan put him on blast.
For being a huge joke.
And it destroyed Joe Rogan's career at that point.
Really?
You didn't even know
Didn't know? I thought you were going to say it just destroyed Mencia's career.
No, it destroyed him. It destroyed Carlos Mencia's image and reputation because people already knew it, but the middle America didn't know it. So it destroyed him as far as people's image. He still had a lot of fans, but Joe Rogan got dropped by his representation because Carlos was the bigger act at the time.
I did not know this.
Listen, brother, this is before UFC had destroyingly popped. Like Joe Rogan was involved in them, but he hadn't popped, right?
So this is before his podcast.
This is before his podcast. Or I won't say before his podcast,
or just
before
early
it popped.
Into, right.
So everybody was like, oh, like we're dropping this guy. You don't talk about the king at this moment. You know what I mean? You made him look bad. Fast forward with Joe Rogan, the rest is history. He's super famous. He's been able to create popularity for other comedians and other people who aren't in the business. Hooray for that, brother. That's a real great job. And he's made a complete 180 as far as his career is concerned. He does what he wants, right? But at that time, him telling his truth bit him. Yeah.
See, because that's okay. And I've had jokes stolen before. Not nearly as many as you or probably most other people, but I've had, you know, them taken, and I've never had nothing taken and putting on TV.
Yeah.
But I've had it taken and I seen it go up. And I just remember the first time I saw it, I was just like, nigga, like, wait, what? Like it was, and I was green. I was green out here. I was brand new out here. I want to say I was only out here for not even a year. And I think, you know, even just like having people around you, I probably would, you know, would tap in, which, hey man, what should I? And I think so I had people around me telling me not to. But see, this is the thing why my heart bleeds for Precious. I got like a personal relationship with Precious. This is
I love Precious.
Friend.
She's
like,
a sweet girl.
And so I see funny. And I've known her for 7-8 years now.
I'm gonna tell you something, Doughboy.
Murder.
Doughboy, you better own these hoes. Doughboy, you better know something.
So I got a lot of love for her just as a person, as a creator, all that. I've seen her be blackballed in the industry. I've seen it. I've seen people say things about this young woman and it ruined opportunities for her. And I've seen her keep her cool. I've seen her get her jokes taken before and just kind of keep, and you know what I'm saying? I know she takes her craft very seriously because Precious, like even within the last month or two, has been over to my crib 8-9 times for 2-3 hours at a time, working on her set, just putting in the hours and the work to be great. When you do something like that, and all you have in this shit is your voice and your point of view and your reputation, and then a person that is bigger than you with a bigger voice with the masses takes your shit, which probably might not mean anything to a Leslie. Like, and I'm not saying that Leslie's seen it and took. I'm just saying the joke that, you know, came from Precious or whatever. A person saying this on a huge stage now. If Precious goes to try to tell her joke that she's been doing for years, now she looks like a copycat.
Right.
Now she looks like somebody that's stealing, and that's not the case. So that's just why I just be like, and then I like, you know, because you know the industry, like, you know, people talking. You know, I'm hearing things, people like, oh, I don't know if she should have reacted like that. I'm like, well, how the fuck is she supposed to react? Like, how are you supposed to react? And because this game is so twisted and weird sometimes that it'll make you feel crazy for being normal.
Right.
Like, there's no other job that you work in where somebody can come, take your work, and the money that you're going to get from it and just be like, oh, this is mine. And then you just got to just sit there and just be like, oh, okay, well, I got to do another thing to replace it. Like, that's really messed up. And in an industry where it's so hard to get noticed,
Yep.
it's so hard to have an original bit that resonates with people. You know how, like, I know people that like work on a bit for, it could take 6 to 8 months just to even say, okay, now this joke is where I want it. So,
Yeah.
and you know, and like Precious has t-shirts, merchandise, like
Mhm.
all of that shit. So I guess like I just be wondering, what do you do when you just had enough? And that's what I felt for her. Like,
Yeah.
damn.
Well, here's the thing. Let's back up. The
Mhm.
first part is yeah, I heard you mention that she being Leslie said you could have handled this differently.
Right.
Let's weigh the pros and cons of that.
Mhm.
Well, not pros and cons, the different ways to approach this. I know for a fact that Leslie answers her messages.
Okay.
She checks her DMs. You know, I've known Leslie since I got to LA. And every time I've ever hit her with a message, she's responded, read it. You know what I mean? I don't know
Right.
if that would have or wouldn't have worked, but that's a possibility. I understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
Here is a solution for every comedian before this happens to anybody.
Okay.
Any joke that you do, record it, like, you know, have you performing it somewhere, some comedy club, record it, post it. You could have it as unlisted, but you got the date that you posted it.
Mhm.
This is a copyright for a comedian.
Almost like a receipt.
It's a receipt because
Okay.
a lot of comedians, we don't get the opportunity to be on TV and for everybody to just know our bits.
Right.
But they do have YouTube and Facebook and IG
Mhm.
to where you can have your bit posted to where people can know, okay, this was your joint, or you said this joke beforehand.
Mhm.
You're not a thief, right?
Right.
That's your receipt. That's one.
Okay.
Two, it's unfortunate that it happened to her.
Mhm.
And I don't think that there's any right way to handle you feeling that your intellectual property has been stolen. There's no right way because you're emotional at that moment.
Mhm.
You want to be heard. You feel attacked because you're like, yo, I'm doing all of this work and for what? And in the same breath, it's unfortunate. It happens to a lot of the greats.
Mhm.
And the avenue that you have is handle it the way she handled it.
Mhm.
You could ignore it. You could keep writing. Whatever you choose is right for you.
Mhm.
For me, the times that it happened, it was like, all right, man, let me suss out who's in the area every time I do this bit
Right.
that is giving it to this person
Mhm.
to perform, right?
Right.
And then it became one of those things like, all right, I'm going to do stuff I don't care about when I see this particular. I know.
But how? But that's what I'm saying. Like how crazy, and bro, like, and you're definitely being humble and modest. But I've seen a ton of your stuff get ripped and put on TV. So the way that you just keep it cool,
Yeah.
it's admirable. But I don't know, man. I just feel like with comedy, I just wish that shit didn't exist. Like, you know what I mean? Because I get how hard it is just to formulate an original point of view.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, you know, and then it's just one of those situations to where it's like, and this is such a political game
Very.
that we play. So you don't want to be emotionally human in one moment, and then now you feel like just because you spoke up for yourself, like I'm pretty sure at the time Joe Rogan was kicking himself in the ass when he got dropped by his management, his representation.
I doubt it. He did the right thing.
It's
that
hard to
regard,
get dropped by your representation when
Yeah.
you don't know that you're going to have the boom in this podcast in 10 years.
That's a good point.
So it's tough to get dropped when UFC ain't popped
Yeah.
yet. And you know what I'm saying? And then a motherfucker is just, for you just speaking up. And I remember a lot of comedians didn't, I think there was an urban legend that George Lopez like put tips on Carlos Mencia about the joke stealing shit. I've heard that. That's what the
None of
streets
my
say.
business.
I said that.
None of my
I throw it
business.
out there in the streets. But I think that it's a stinky thing that happens in the comedy streets that we know
Yeah.
about. And everybody just always kind of like tenses up when it's time to talk about it. But I'm like, nah, man. I feel like if people are out there stealing jokes, they need to stop. I don't know that if they will. I remember I might have been you that told me this. I remember I got advice really early out here to stop burning my set at open mics because all older comedians do is just come to open mics and just steal your shit and to do it better than you.
Because it's like
You ever had a nigga do it better than you? Like, nigga,
because
you
you're
deserve
new.
that joke.
You're brand new. Here you go with this brilliant premise.
Right.
And this shark that has been doing comedy 20 years comes to this open mic and he or she is fishing and gonna take your joke, do it better than you because they know what it takes to make that joke better. It's like, yo, I would say, yo, stop performing at these open mics, all your best stuff. Because in a young comedian's mind, you're performing in front of people that you grew up watching, or you're like, oh man, maybe they're gonna take me on the road. It's not gonna happen.
That's what
it's not gonna happen.
That's the thing that I think, and this was important. The reason why I wanted to talk about this on the podcast, because I know it's a lot of people out there that's like, yo, I want to get into comedy.
Yeah.
I want to do this thing. These are also things that you need to be cognizant of.
Also, if you're talking about doing, because I know this is going to stir up a whole can of worms where people are going to be, yeah, man, somebody stole my, we're talking about creative jokes.
Right.
I'm not talking about, man, he did my joke. Did you hear he said about Obama? I said Obama joke where I said his lips black.
I got a bunch of jokes where I illustrate the differences between black and white people. Nigga.
Like, that's not creative, bro.
Exactly.
And I've heard so many comedians be like, yeah, man, such and such, they stole my joke when I was talking about Mary had a little lamb. Even like the Instagram joke? Yeah. It was like, we're talking about creative bits.
So then what's the level to that? So what's the actual level of actually saying that you ripped somebody's joke? Because I've seen people just take premises. They'll just take the premises and just swap it out with better punchlines and say, so what is it like that? What do you think that it is that typically constitutes a joke where you're just like taking the swag and of what they're doing and the teeth of what it is?
I'll give an example.
Okay.
Lil Rel Howery used to do a joke, and his hand, he used to always do this.
Yes.
Right?
I know exactly what you
And when he did this, he trademarked this. Nobody was doing this, right? Now everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing the joke, bye, all of that, right? And that, in that gesture and in the manner of joke that he was telling, was stolen from him by several comedians.
Right. And so can you just so that's considered stealing because you're taking just the sauce of it? No, I'm
not talking about just the sauce of it. I'm talking about, I can't even remember the joke that he would do. Real, forgive me, bro. It's been 15 years.
Right.
Anyway, he would do the bit, and he would always
I know, and I know the people that have taken it. Right.
So the people that end up doing a joke, men and women who've done that from him, the same type of premise and the gesture, that's stealing. Right. If I do a joke about blue hoodies, and every time I do a joke about blue hoodie, I'm doing this. And now you come up and you're talking about white t-shirts,
and I'm still doing,
and you're doing this is a stealing,
swag.
Bro. You're taking my premise, you're repurposing it, and you're doing my gestures. This is stealing. This is one form of stealing. Another form of stealing is when they don't have any respect for you. They just take the whole bit and they'd be like, what?
And just put their name in it?
I got a cousin named Nook Nook too. Okay. All right. Okay.
So you've because I've heard stories about like comedians squaring up over a joke. It's almost like the equivalent of stealing bars from a rapper.
Because you're taking food out of their mouth, ideally. Right. It's like some comedians don't have a strong enough pen to come up with other bits. So they do the same joke for 25, 30 years. And they're known by these jokes. So if they see somebody doing that joke, they want to fight because you're like, yo, I'm known for this. I'm the only one who can talk about Nook Nook. You know what I mean? Right. So they fight because you're taking food out of their mouth because that's the joke that they have. Like they struck gold twice, and these are the jokes they're holding on to. But
see, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I always was under the assumption of. I was always under the assumption of it's anybody's joke until it's on TV, and then whoever said it on TV. No, this is what I didn't know. I don't live by this.
I'm listening.
So what I've heard is that it's anybody's joke until it's on TV. Then whoever put it on TV first, it's that person's joke.
Well, that's another example of a copyright. Because now the comedian put that joke on TV. So it's like, who you gonna believe? You gonna believe the cat that hasn't been on TV or the cat that's been on TV? And that's what takes us back to the initial question.
And that's what makes this, so difficult. So I don't know, man. To everybody involved, I just, I hope that there is a peaceful resolution. Maybe they hop on the phone and squash it. Like, hey, it was a miscommunication. Maybe it goes, but just
it's possible. Also, like there is the possibility that she did not know that this was her bit.
Is that a possibility?
I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want
It's
to
a
talk
little
about this
dicey.
anymore.
The water is murky. It's all good. But hey, shout out to everybody involved, and hopefully there's a peaceful resolution to whatever they got.
It'd be dope to see them.
What would it be dope to see them? It's okay.
When
You're not promoting negativity. We're just having a healthy dialogue about, what's going on amongst our peers. I hate that it comes off like we're promoting negativity if we
nobody
just
said anything
talk
about
the
promoting.
things that we see.
It's not that.
I see
And
you
it
tap
has
dancing.
nothing to do with this. I'm not tap dancing.
You did Gregory Hines in this bitch. I don't want to talk about it no more. Nigga, this is a podcast.
You know what it is, bro? And it's not even that. It's just like you have to be very careful about what you say.
No, I get it.
And I'm not talking about just this conversation. I'm talking about everything. So a lot of times that's why I take my time when I'm reacting. Is because I want to talk. I want to talk fast like this, and I say something, and then next thing you know, 10 years from now. So anyway, I remember one comedian who had done a bit of mine. The comedian had done my bit. I went to that comedian. I say, "Hey, man, I do a joke
very similar to what you just
did.
did.
And their response, because the approach was, it was like, "Oh man, I've never seen you do the bit." I'm like, "No, it's all good. I know you roll with such and such, and such and such sees me do it all the time." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Hey man, hey, realistically though, bro, I got some tags for your other bits if you would like them." Yeah. And that ended up becoming a lucrative relationship for me because I end up writing jokes for that person, right? Because of how I could immediately be like, "Hey man,
motherfucker, you thieving that."
Right. But I like to play smarter, and I made some money off of it, and in turn, a great relationship, right? In that, I remember there was a cat that I rocked with that was doing bits and had done my stuff, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?"
So wait, so these are two individuals that two different individuals that took your jokes, but there's also people that have taken your jokes that you've never said anything to.
Yes, the people that I didn't say anything to were really early in my career.
Got it. So
I was like, you know what I mean?
So now this is later in your career. So there's one person you talk, it was pretty cool. All right, cool. Second person, how did this one go?
I was like, okay, so let me back up. So I'll give you a different one. There was also a comedian that came to me, right? This was right before I did a taping of the Def Jam, all Def Comedy for HBO. So I'm running around doing my set everywhere that I could to get the timing right. And the comedian comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, yo, that joke, I do something like that." I'm like, "That's what's up, bro. I don't think you stealing."
You said, "I don't think you stealing."
I don't think you stealing, bro.
He was coming to you, telling you the truth.
And he was like, No. I'm saying I've been doing this joke before you. I say, "Listen, brother."
See, now this is great because now we can hear from the other side.
Exactly.
Okay, so how did you handle it?
I say, "Listen, brother. I'm recording All Def Comedy tomorrow. I've never seen you do this bit before. And until tonight, you've never seen me do this bit before. What are we talking about?"
And what was their response?
"Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying?" And it was literally because I had known this person for years anyway. And it's like, "What are you talking about, bro? Like, I'm not that guy. I know you're not that guy. There's also the chance that you guys come up with similar topics. Was my bit way more genius and funny? Yes. Was his bit surface
level and bullshit?
Yes.
Of course it was.
And the joke was about the joke that I did on All Def Comedy, which was I was like, "Look, let's just call a spade a spade. I'm handsome." All right.
Wait, I think I was there at the table.
I was like, "I'm handsome, but I'm not sexy," right? And I start getting into how women treat men who are handsome compared to sexy. And I go into the whole bit, standing ovation. It's not even important. This guy's bit, and I never even seen him perform it, but the way he said it to me, he was like, "Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I go a little different route." I say, "Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Cause I'm sexy, you know what I'm saying? Sexy guys walk different." And I was like,
"What?
All right, like I'm not seeing the 3-minute plus bit that I do."
I have a feeling I know who you're talking about. I'll ask you off camera. I have a feeling I know you.
Because he's the homie. But it was like, come on, bro, not in your best day. Could you be funnier than me?
So then how do this is great that you have,
both sides.
Both sides. I don't have both sides. So how is it a good way to police joke authenticity in the game? Because on both sides of
approach.
So it's just all about how you
It's all about approach. I just gave you the example of a cat coming to me saying that we had similar bits.
Right.
And this is somebody that I had happened to know for years. And I know that we both knew each other's pedigree. We both know that neither of us are joke thieves. Sometimes you're going to have a similar bit as a comedian just randomly.
That's just life.
That's
right.
just life.
Right.
Obama's black lips. Like so many of these trash. Anyway. But then.
He be smoking weed.
He be smoking weed, man. First black president? Come on, man. But then you have the comedians, and we know the sharks.
Right.
The ones who constantly steal from other comedians because they've got a history of stealing from other comedians.
But why don't we call these people out? Because like I was telling you, because when we had that conversation, we had a conversation, we talked about, people who have stolen jokes from you.
Yeah.
Next day, just in a random conversation, I hear one or two other people say the same person that stole your joke stole their jokes.
Yeah.
So in that sense, shouldn't people maybe be doing more of this, calling people out so they know this shit ain't cool? Like, you might move differently if you think somebody gonna put some heat on your ass.
That's a fact. And what you're saying, and I know a lot of people, I'm gonna say something, blah, blah, blah. I am, I'm a pick your battles type cat, right?
Okay.
If I see that there's a way to, first of all, it depends on how much I care about what it was. If this is a joke
what if they put it on TV?
That's what I'm saying. First of all, if it's on TV, it's a wrap, no matter what argument that I have with you. But if I see you in the club before it gets to TV and I say something, it's about the approach. But also, if I'm seeing a comedian do a bit of mine and I'm like, yo, this is my bread and butter, we got to talk, we're going to have a conversation. But if I also, that's just a conversation. But if I know you're a known thief, then it's like, bro, what are you doing, man? Don't steal from me, man.
Hey,
now, the people who do steal, it's like, hey, man, you know not to talk to this person because they be stealing. So it's kind of like, why would you keep poking at this snake when you know the snake bites?
But for you to have to police where you do your set at, that's almost blasphemy.
It happens at the beginning of stand-up.
I feel like something's got to change about that. Because it's just, I just feel it's watering the game down. It's thieving, and it's just like, it's the equivalent of taking a rapper's flow or taking a rapper's subject matter or their life.
But they do that, and it seems like rappers be cool. Like when we look at Jay-Z, he literally made albums, and he would be like, "Yo, I got my flow from Jazzo." Like I started to sound like Biggie. It's like in the music community, it's praised. It's also praised for musicians and music to sample each other.
Borrow from one another.
Yeah, comedians don't do that, though. Like, we can't go up there and be like, hey, man, remember that Chris Rock special? He said this. This is what I think.
Black people and niggas.
Yeah. We don't do that in the comedy community.
Right.
So when you say we should air them out, yeah, joke thieves have already been aired out in the comedy community, but to the masses, they haven't been. Now, if you're saying they should be aired out to the masses, then it goes back to a moral code. You're like, yo, this dude is a joke thief, but I also don't want to take food out of this dude's child's mouth by destroying his career, because you got to realize the power that you have.
Right.
Where we are, bro, and this is honest to God, man, where we are from a social media standpoint with fans, we have a different power than somebody who doesn't. I could literally... We use Jamie Foxx as an example. Jamie Foxx could have heard what I said respectfully and took it disrespectfully and went on a tirade like, who's this guy? Blah, 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 blah. And he's got the bigger numbers than me. You know what I'm saying? And it would have been like, blah, 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 blah. But for me to attack somebody, let's say that has 5,000 followers, it does nothing for me. Because now I'm destroying this cat because everybody's going to take my word for it because I'm more known than that person.
Right.
So you have to really be careful about the power that you have. I remember I had a conversation with Tony Baker. We had it was a post like last year sometime. You know, all of us have been knowing each other since the beginning. Like I was there for Tony's first paid gig as a comedian.
Yeah.
So we had a back and forth in the comments, and I had to call him. I said, hey, bro. Listen, man, you have more numbers than me. You have to be careful what you say because the people don't know our relationship. They will immediately see something, and if you agree or disagree, take your side, and now I'm the villain. And he's like, I didn't think about that. And it was like we both had removed what we said, but it was just like, we got to think. So when you have a large social following, you have to be responsible. You can't just say things just to say them.
True. Because
you could destroy somebody and that's not your intention.
Right. And I get that. And I just feel like I just wish that there was just a proper protocol way to file your grievances, because I just couldn't imagine being in that situation. But that brings up another point that you were saying too that I want to touch on too. So
there's some comedians that don't care. I'll tell you this.
Some niggas just gonna take it.
No. I'm talking about some comedians don't care. They'll just say, hey, such and such a thief. But I'll tell you this. You know who's somebody that is stolen from the most there that I've seen during comedy?
Who's that?
K-Dub, Corey Holcomb. They've both been stolen from immensely. I've seen comedians do Corey Holcomb's entire style on set.
Patrice O'Neal gets bitten a lot.
Patrice gets bitten because it's the style. Like Corey will deliver a punchline. He'd be like, yeah, let me tell you shit. Blah, blah, blah. You know
It's so matter of fact.
It's so matter of fact. I had to tell it.
And the facial reaction.
Yeah. I've seen comedians take that whole style and be like, yeah, this is just me. Like, that's Corey Holcomb.
Right.
And then you see K-Dub. He's so quick with it. K-Dub, I'm going to tell you my favorite K-Dub joke. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know K-Dub, Google. This brother's one of the best to ever do it. K-Dub. This is I saw this joke in 2005. K-Dub, God bless you. I love you, brother. K-Dub does this bit. He says, man, you ever be so broke somebody cut you a deal and you still couldn't rock with it? he say, Cadillac $10, man. Shit.
Cadillac $10.
Somebody cut you a deal and you still can't rock with it. Cadillac $10, man.
I can't even dig it.
I can't. And he goes on and on, right?
Right.
And that's just one example. But these are jokes, right? That he's created and crafted. But so many joke thieves see somebody like that, they take it and they remix it.
Exactly. And a lot, you know what I see? A lot of that, you know who might be one, like over the last 5 years, you know who might be one of the most plagiarized comedians based off of his Twitter? Carlos.
Carlos Miller.
Yes. Niggas build bits off of this nigga's tweets and nobody's, I be like,
they made
nigga,
memes
that is
from his stuff.
That, you know that's a Carlos tweet. So I just don't, there has to be something done
Carlos
about
Miller.
this.
Love that guy.
And you know what I'm saying? But this is another layer of it that I want to even ask, because there's different levels of this game, right? So then, you know what I'm saying, there's, you know, the comedians that go out there. There's niggas that go out there, do their thing, whatever. But then there's also comedians that become writers in these rooms. Now, as a writer, because you've written on some TV shows, you've written on some award shows, whatever. So when you have...
Never award shows. TV shows, game shows.
You could have rocked with award shows. But yeah.
That award show click, because the award show writing staff is so small.
It is.
If you're black, it's Chris Spencer, it's Sidney Castillo, Mitch Marchand.
Shout out to our homies.
Jesse's hiring all of them. You got
Niall Levin's being a lot of those.
No, I'm trying to Ambria Allen, Nia Levin's. Like this is a Robin Thede before she got her show.
James Davis.
I said him already. But it's a very small group of people who do the award shows.
Got it.
So
you've done a lot of writing for just shows.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you're writing for a comedian that's about to go out and tell jokes, right? Now, if this writer is about to, if this comedian is about to go on stage, and about to say some jokes, and you kind of hear their set, and you know for a fact they're about to go on stage and tell one of your peers jokes. Yeah. But this is where you're making your money. You're writing here, and you know if you upset this comedian, they can look at you like, oh, Rory, that's your comedian? All right, that's cool. Hey, give me another writer. Get this nigga out of here. So what would you do in a situation if a big comedian is about to go on stage and say a joke from somebody you know is they're about to go out there and say that person's joke?
Well, here's the thing. You just painted a very specific scenario. That's not always how it goes.
Okay.
The times that I've written for comedians, you'll see one of two things happen. The first thing is they'll go over their set with you beforehand, which is rare. And then the other aspect is the comedian will perform and you watch their performances.
Just tag it up.
And tag each joke.
Right.
Now, in the latter, the comedian goes up, says somebody's joke. That's somebody's joke. I got to say something, right?
Right.
But it's already being performed. So in that regard, as the writer standpoint, it's like, damn, it's too late. Like, I can still tell this person, hey, this is such and such a joke, but it's also too late because this person is performing.
Right.
Now, if this is a TV thing, it's still too late because this is happening.
And now it's there.
Exactly.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
You've been wanting to say that for a while. But you said that shit last night. And I was like,
you'll never give me the look. Like, I'll be wanting you to look at me like,
you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Nigga, shut up and let me finish my point.
So in the first example, you get a chance to be like, all right, what are the jokes tonight?
Right.
Which is a very, if you were out on the road with me or vice versa,
Right.
I'd be like, what are you going to talk about tonight? All right, cool. All right, bam, 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 because we have that relationship, that rapport.
Right.
98% of the time, when you're starting to write for a comedian, you see it after. Like, you see the list after, because it's your job to look, all right, he freestyled that. Okay, she just added that there, and you're taking notes. But you won't get the set until the fourth time where you're like, hey, you going to do the joke about such and such tonight? Blah, blah, blah. So, but it's too late after that person's already performed it. So it's not really...
You don't always have time to stop.
Yeah, and you can't blame the writers for everything a performer did. I remember I was writing for one comedian. We were... Anyway,
Don't catch yourself up, nigga.
Right for one comedian, and the comedian does somebody else's joke. I don't know until he performs it. Comes off stage, I say, hey, that's such and such's joke. His response was, I was like, all right. I said something. I said something. This is his prerogative.
So some people just know and don't give a fuck.
Hey man, this is the game. This ain't game. We don't have a union, bro.
We need one, nigga. Let's start one. Let's stop this joke shit. Let's be joke bounty hunters.
Bro, first of all, there are very few comedians who are good at business. And those that are succeed. Right. And those that don't. So a union for comedians is something that's been talked about since I was a pup in the game. That ain't gonna happen.
We gotta figure it, bro. There has to be something set in stone.
It is. It's called hands. People offer them when they get too annoyed.
Have you ever got your joke taken for somebody you feel like you couldn't whoop?
I can whoop everybody that stole a joke.
That's fucked up for nigga take your joke. Like, yeah, I'll take it, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey man, I got a couple tags for you, bro. I feel like if you started off right here, you land on the punchline.
Now, I will say, everybody that's stolen from me, I could whoop, but I have been around some comedians that I wouldn't fight.
Or you wouldn't even ask about the joke? Like, nigga, just
let's keep away from the stealing. I was talking about just in general. There are comedians where I'm like, oh man, he got hands. Oh yeah.
And some of these niggas be crazy too. So it's like, hey man, it's cool.
It's a rule of thumb, bro, and this is realistic. And comedians can probably tell me in the comments. The unfunnier the comedian, the more street and hood that person is. I'm telling you, these super funny comedians can't fight. But the ones who ain't funny,
they got 6 niggas with them, all blickied up.
Blicky. If a comedian is corny to you, oh, he got hands. He up there talking about, yeah, man, black man, white man, Chinese man. He will stomp. He will waffle stomp you in the streets.
Waffle
stomp. Talking about. Hey man, you know Obama lips black. He'll fight you to the death.
Let a nigga boo him. Oh, okay. We'll see you after the show, nigga.
Third row, left seat.
No, man. This has been a great conversation, man. And this is one of those ones where I was even coming into. I was like, man, I want to make sure we word this so none of it sounds negative, like we're promoting negativity. But this was a great conversation. I always like to lean on your expertise because you be saying some pretty dope shit, man.
Listen, brother, I mind my business.
Hey, man, you be on that couch and on that seat and with them video games. And thanks for the burger last night. It was
right. I had vegan food. You had a straight up burger. Didn't finish it.
And let me tell you though, remember when I almost left and there was like a half a bite left and I almost threw it away? And you was just like, hey man, just take it with you. You might want it later. About 2 hours later, man, I was like, so it was fire. I have been Doughboy. This has been another installment of the Justice League podcast.
We're not out of here yet, man. Give me 4 minutes.
Oh, man. 4 minutes. Go ahead, man.
So here's the thing. Man. When we in these comments, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I've been noticing this.
Okay.
I've been noticing this a lot.
Talk to him, man.
I be dropping gems. I don't see shit that I said quoted. All I'm seeing in the comments, and this affects you too, because I'll see in the comments, they be like, hey man, Doughboy's freestyle. I'm like, we talked for an hour. And all y'all got
is the first 8 seconds of this
shit. Freestyle? Hey man, you know what I'm saying?
You heard the bars at the beginning?
Them some bars. I'm like, we were talking for an hour.
And you do be dropping some knowledge, some gems. Get that man his props.
And
CT in the
mention
mix.
more than the damn freestyle.
Yeah.
Freestyle do
I
be
mean,
fire.
I know it. And today, you know, I
today
jotted
was
a
the best
couple
ever.
things down. So
This was
yeah.
I wouldn't be mad at reading the
Yeah.
comments this week about the freestyle. But for us to be talking for an hour and they say something happened in the first 8
It
seconds,
just be wild. But
we're not doing our
okay,
job.
but then on the flip side of it, your audience don't be saying shit about me at all.
That's a lie. Team CT loves you.
I ain't been in them comments. I need to go
Exactly.
check.
You be saying stuff like it's facts, and it's not even close,
I'm
bro.
gonna get in there and make sure they being cool.
They be showing love in the comments. I appreciate everybody on the Patreon.
Yes.
Whether you watching this video on my page or Doughboy's page, our links are in the description. If you click the names, you will see how to get, people don't know the description.
And we have a clip page coming very, very soon. And so we'll be breaking these episodes down and putting the clips on the Justice League podcast clip page. And y'all can check us out there. We'll break this down into fun-sized bits.
Yeah, man. Burn that hoodie. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm CT.
You ain't fucking with this hoodie?
Man. I better not say it again.
All right, y'all. Peace. Dope episode.